G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. My husband got weird about physical affection from me, and things escalated very badly. My 36 female husband, 34 male, married for 2 years and together for 5 years altogether, used to be very affectionate with each other in a way that was playful, flirty, and warm. A couple months ago, he decided that I was too clingy and that he wanted to be the one to initiate all physical contact from then on. I do not think that I was or am clingy. I initiate hugs and kisses a few times a day, with a few other casual touches like a hand on the shoulder, but was very far from groping him every second. I know he has also been coming to terms with some issues from a difficult childhood at that time. Not physical abuse, more emotional abandonment/alienation issues with his parents. So I wanted to give him space and not make this about me, especially as he promised to continue being regularly affectionate. And he has done so. Maybe a bit less than before, but we still have some affectionate touches, initiated by him every day, and more intimate activities a couple of times a week. Used to be more like 3 to 4 times a week, but again, I know he's going through some stuff. A few days ago, I found out at work that I had gotten a big promotion and bonus. When I got home, I was so excited that I threw my arms around him, thereby violating his rule that he needed to be the one to initiate contact. He immediately pushed me away and got extremely angry. It wasn't a sexual hug at all, more like the kind you see sports team members giving each other when they win a big game. I tried to apologize, but he started yelling about how I'm an abuser and traumatized him. He asked me to leave. I quickly packed a few things and went to a motel, not wanting things to escalate further. I understand from his brother that after I left, he tried to go to the police to press charges, but they said that that's a quick hug from one's wife, even if not really wanted or expected, was not the kind of thing they are going to prosecute. He's now threatening to call my employer to tell them that I'm an abuser who engages in sexual misconduct in my personal life. I am not asking for legal advice about that here. What I'm asking is, honestly, would he be justified in telling my employer about what happened? I did make a terrible mistake, even if it wasn't malicious. I believe people are allowed to determine that they don't want others to initiate touch and should have bodily autonomy. Just because I wouldn't be traumatized over a hug doesn't mean he shouldn't be. I'm willing to accept that he may very well divorce me over this, and that I may lose other important friendships and family relationships, but should I also lose my job? My job is working with other adults in an office, not vulnerable people. I don't and have never initiated physical contact with coworkers except an occasional handshake or accepting a high five. In the comments, your husband is a literal danger to you. He's trying to send you to prison and ruin your life because of a mistaken hug. His mental issues have advanced to the point where it is no longer safe for you to be around him. Please consult an attorney. If your husband feels so unsafe around you, do him the favor of removing yourself from his life. Also consider a restraining order on him since he's harassing you at work. It's sad, but you're correct. Husband has obviously gone beyond the point where he can maintain a healthy relationship due to his issues. The fact that he turns to violent behavior, pushing, screaming, is specifically concerning. Appropriate reaction. Stepping back and saying, please remember to respect my physical boundaries. I'm happy for you, but I still need space. Massively insane overreaction. Everything your husband did. Warn your boss that your husband is unstable. He's having some kind of mental health crisis, and you're the target. Talk to a lawyer. He's trying to ruin your life because you hugged your husband. You need a lawyer to protect yourself, assets, and job. You also need to consider if he's a physical danger to you. This is incredibly unhinged. I've never made a post before, but I will for this. I suffer from complex PTSD and regularly have flashbacks and feelings of discomfort from physical touch. My partner is a very affectionate person, and I recognize this. He also is aware that sometimes I get to be too overstimulated and overwhelmed if he's trying to kiss me or hug me, and I'm not in a good headspace to receive this type of affection, and backs off. There's been times where he has mistakenly triggered a flashback, and it took time to calm me down. With all that being said, I would never accuse him of being an abuser over something like that. My past trauma is not inherently his responsibility, and triggers happen. Triggers are also going to happen, but he's my partner for a reason. He's my support, and even if I felt like he did cross a line for whatever reason, there's nothing that would make me behave in such a way without at least talking to him first. I think that's very unfair for him to do that to you, considering you're in a relationship. Mistakes happen, but there's something deeper going on that needs to be addressed. Sorry, OP. And OP replies, "Thank you for saying this. I would never want to do anything to harm my husband, and would have understood if he was very distressed in the moment, even if a hug doesn't seem like a big deal to most people. It just hurts so much to be lumped in with violent abusers, and to be made to feel like I'm a horrible person who deserves to have my whole life ruined." And now, onto the update. So, things came to a head, but not in the way that I was expecting. My husband's brother-in-law, continued to stay with him while I stayed at a hotel. After a couple days, I got a call from brother-in-law asking me to come home so that we could all talk. He assured me that I would be safe. Turns out, my husband has been having an affair with an intern at his company, 21 female, and is deeply in love and wants to be with her. He told brother-in-law this shortly after I left. He wanted to make me the bad guy, so first started with the no touching rule, figured that I would get fed up with it, or that eventually I would make a mistake, and he could use that to claim that I was an abuser. That is what happened, so that I would be the bad guy. It was also a way to reduce intimacy of all types with me, while he was falling out of love with me and in love with his affair partner. So he made up the stuff about trauma flaring up, and isn't actually having a psychotic break, although obviously has some level of mental problems to do something so cruel. For what it's worth, he did apologize, sort of. Said he was just so in love with the other woman and couldn't deal with hurting me directly by leaving me right away, so came up with this plan, and just got a little too caught up in character when I gave him the mistaken hug with calling me an abuser, making a police report, and threatening my job. We sat down and talked about everything, with brother-in-law as mediator, and agreed to a cordial and quick divorce, dividing assets 50-50. Thankfully, no pets or kids. I know I could probably make things harder for him under the circumstances, but I really just want to move on as soon as possible and put all of this behind me. I have a good job/income and don't need anything from him other than my freedom ASAP. I appreciate all of you who commented, and all those who sent me messages. Apologies for not responding personally to everyone, but was a bit overwhelmed. Even though things went in an unexpected direction, it was so helpful to see what was happening wasn't normal, and also helped me to prepare for the truth when it came out. Thank you. In the comments, while he would deserve you absolutely destroying him, he's proven he's an absolute lunatic and is willing to destroy your life to get out of an uncomfortable conversation. So it's way safer for you to just cut your losses and get out as soon as you can. Save everything you can in terms of documentation though, and see if you can get someone to get pictures of him with the affair partner before the divorce, just in case he goes psycho again. OP replies, "Thank you. That is a good idea. I'll talk to my lawyer about the best way to document everything in case there's ever any question about the truth." What an effing loser. Wait and see. Once this 21-year-old knows you're out of the picture permanently, she'll probably dump him, lol, and it'll be well deserved. OP says, yes, because she may be in love now, but pretty soon I think she's going to realize that she's won the grand prize of a man who A, cheats with someone at work no less, and B, who will make up horrible lies to avoid taking accountability for his choices. What a gem. Okay, but he's how old and messing around with a 21-year-old intern at work? Sounds like you need to call his work. Not only is there a big age gap, but there is a power gap as well. Add his narcissist-type behavior, and yeah. If she leaves him after he gave up on his wife and life for her, it's going to end badly for her. OP says, I mean, she's an adult, at least technically. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. He says she's in a different department, so he's not her manager, and it's not against the rules, although somewhat frowned upon. It's actually one of the reasons I wanted to do our divorce settlement quickly, in case he gets fired. I don't want to get stuck paying alimony because he suddenly doesn't have an income. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Definitely let the divorce finalize first. I should say I'm proud of you for getting out quickly. He sounds awful, to be honest, and you sound lovely. OP says, "We actually already have a signed agreement, although it'll take a bit to finalize legally. I spent the bonus I mentioned in my earlier post on a good divorce lawyer who could draw up the agreement right away, saying how we are dividing existing accounts and property and that we aren't entitled to each other's income or retirement. He wants to move on with the new girl, so he wanted to do things as fast as possible too. I'm just looking forward to him no longer being my problem in any capacity. You should get a pet though. I don't know why, I just feel like it'd be trading up." OP says, "Yes, going to look for a pet-friendly apartment. I love cats. He doesn't. Should have been my first clue." Our next post is titled, "I disinvited my adopted sister from my wedding, and I don't think we will ever speak to each other again. I'm heartbroken." I'm the youngest of 2 children. My parents always wanted a big family, but they had a string of miscarriages. So they turned to adoption. They had a baby girl through a closed adoption. 7 months after they adopted my sister, they conceived me. My parents said that I was their miracle baby. For context, my parents and I are white. My sister is Hispanic and black. Growing up, my sister and I were best friends. We did everything together, and people said that we acted like twins. We stayed best friends into adulthood until she found her biological family. At first, I was happy for her. My sister always said that she felt like something was missing, and finding her family seemed to be the missing piece. But then she started to treat my parents differently. She would constantly berate them for choosing to adopt because she said adoption, especially transracial adoption, was wrong. She said that the experience was traumatizing to her and that she wasn't properly prepared for being a person of color due to their colorblindness. I stayed out of it because her relationship with my parents wasn't my business. But when she made my mum cry after a particularly cruel remark, I started distancing myself from her. For context, she said that they should have gotten therapy for their infertility instead of becoming baby snatchers. Even though we weren't friends anymore, I couldn't imagine severing the relationship, and I definitely couldn't imagine disinviting her from my wedding. She was the one who introduced me to my fiancé after all. So I told myself that she was my sister no matter what, and kept her as my maid of honor. I changed my mind after she posted a picture of herself with her biological siblings. She captioned it, "It's been such a relief to find my real family. I finally feel like I'm home." I was beyond upset. I never ever thought of her as anything less than my sister, but apparently I was never a sister to her. I didn't trust myself to call her, so I sent a text. "Since you don't see me as your real sister, there's no reason for you, and her boyfriend's name here, to come to my wedding." I blocked her number after that. She blocked me on everything in response. Our mutual friends are telling me that she's calling me a racist. I don't think there is any way to come back from this. I'm heartbroken about losing my sister, and I'm heartbroken that I never had one in the first place. In the comments, "As a black man who was adopted by a wonderful white family, I am shook at this. My adopted family had a lot of fertility issues, and she took in me and 2 of my biological siblings, 1/2, since birth, and honestly gave us the best life we could have had. My birth parents did drugs and crap. I can only imagine that life. I don't know how some people could be so ungrateful to have been adopted by a good family, because that doesn't always happen. I was lucky my adopted mom kept in touch with my biological grandma, so I'm able to know the other 8 siblings I have and other family growing up. I'm 24 now, and I wouldn't have it any other way. OP, I'm so sorry. I have a half-brother and sister whose birth dad was adopted. We're all the same ethnicity. After she took an ancestry DNA test, she found a number of their bio-fathers' bio-family members. She turned into the biggest asshole. She turned on everyone in our family, including my bio-dad who adopted her when she was 5. He raised them. Their birth dad skipped out on our mutual mum and became a drug addict. It eventually killed him. She's treated my dad like trash since finding her bio-dad's family. She dumped us and started spending her birthdays and holidays with her new family. It hurts. However, she was petty and spiteful when she was in my life. She was constantly bad-mouthing our siblings and planning out small slights against them. She was jealous of all of us. She never felt loved enough. This was in her head. Our parents love her as much as the rest of us. She was always so focused on what she didn't get. It hurt when she cut us out of her life, and it continues to hurt. I can't make predictions about how your situation will turn out, but be there for your parents and try to be open to her eventually coming back. She must be euphoric by having her bio family validate her right now. Eventually, that will wear off. Sounds like she's unpacking a lot regarding her identity and is unfairly lashing out. That doesn't mean you or your parents have to put up with it. Keep your distance while she figures herself out. Yeah, just because she's finding herself out doesn't give her the right to be cruel to others. Yup, and this is something she should know intuitively. What a shame. OP's parents raised her. I have seen many cases of adopted family becoming bad influences to the kid, but in this post it feels like they had the best childhood. Real family doesn't come from blood. It's from love and compassion. Back up to the post, there are some edits. Edit 1, please stop insulting her in the comments. Edit 2, someone asked for context about the Miracle Baby comment, and a different commenter said that I should add the response to the post. Quote, "It makes both of us super uncomfortable. My parents think adopting my sister put my mum in the right state of mind to successfully carry a baby. They've called my sister the best thing to ever happen to them because she not only gave them a child, but a whole family." Edit 3, we talked this morning. One of our mutual friends asked me to unblock my sister on her behalf. I called her and we had a long conversation about everything. I apologized for blocking and disinviting her without talking to her first. She apologized for being hurtful in the post. She's going to delete the posts calling me a racist and publicly apologize for calling me one. We agreed to keep each other blocked on social media because it will only lead to hurt feelings otherwise. She is still coming to my wedding, but not as a maid of honor. We're not back to where we were, but my sister says that this is a good thing. Now that we got all our feelings out in the open, we can build a healthier and stronger relationship. Thank you for all the DMs. They helped me articulate myself while also staying sympathetic to her point of view. And now, onto the update. After my last post, I got comments and DMs saying that I shouldn't have reconciled with her. I should have listened. Yesterday, my parents offered to treat us to dinner. I couldn't make it, but my sister decided to go. From what my mum told me, the topic of my sister's adoption came up. They got into a fight about it in the middle of a crowded restaurant. It ended after my sister said that my parents should have accepted that their miscarriages were a sign from God that they weren't meant to be parents. For context, my parents are very religious. Growing up, they told us that God got them through the heartbreak of those miscarriages. My parents aren't perfect, but they didn't deserve that. Nobody does. I'm tired of making excuses for my sister. I'm tired of being sympathetic to her trauma when she weaponizes it to hurt others. I'm done. I should have been done after the baby snatching comment. She's not in my life anymore, and I'm trying to convince my parents to do the same. I sent her one final text that said, "I can't believe you would say that to Mum. What the F is wrong with you? Don't contact me again. Go be with your real family and leave us the hell alone." In the comments, does she not understand that if your parents didn't adopt her, that her birth family wanted to put her up for adoption, she still would have put her up for adoption? Without context, the assumption here is that the birth family decides not to keep their baby, adoptive family decides to adopt a baby. If the second part of that didn't happen, the first part still would have. So by her logic, no child should ever get adopted even if the birth family is giving them up. So then they'd grow up bounced around foster care. I know there are bad adoptive parents, and adoption is traumatic for the child, but it sounds like she was happy until recently. What did she want? Her birth families are the ones who made the choice, for whatever reason, to give her up. Her logic makes no sense. Of course, I can admit there's always the chance we're missing context here, and that what I'm saying is on the assumption that this was a birth family doesn't want baby, adoptive family adopts a baby and gets matched with this one situation, which could be wrong, in which case my opinion would change. We don't know the circumstances surrounding the adoption or giving up of the baby, so I'm just going off what I'm reading. So I know there's a chance that it's more complicated than that. Edit. Why did OP block me? I was on your side, damn. Someone replies to that, I think we're missing context. OP has blocked multiple people for even trying to suggest a different opinion. Edit, OP blocked me 5 seconds after I made this comment. It's either she's going through a personal crisis, or she's just an ungrateful brat. I wonder if she told her biological parents that having her was a sign from God that they should be parents and not give her up for adoption. I don't really think so, because she sounds like a hypocrite. Her bio parents left her only to come back when the whole parenting thing was done. POS. Her bio parents are the ones feeding her that baby snatching / you should have taken the miscarriages as a sign of God bullcrap. That kind of crap doesn't just pop into your head one morning, and it definitely doesn't suddenly cause you to feel so deeply about it that you turn on your family. I'd be comfortable placing a pretty high bet that it's the bio parents. Possibly. There is also a small but vocal community online of interracial adoptees who really resent feeling cut off from their native culture. I'm not part of the adoptive community at all, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on any of this. I only know about it from an acquaintance of mine who is Korean-born but American adopted, and what she said condemning that community. Essentially, there's a grain of merit to their argument, but then some people take it way too far and get toxic, often turning on their adoptive families and blaming them. Anyway, all that to say, the bio parents could be perfectly nice people, and sister has just fallen in with the wrong crowd online and is feeding into their bullcrap. I don't even know what to think. It seems that they all need therapy, but the adopted daughter really needs to talk to someone. What a sad post. The big issue for adoptees is that no one will acknowledge their trauma because they were saved by their adoptive families. The 2008 CDC report talking about the supply of infants really highlights how absurd views on adoptions are. It's a huge problem. Quote, "My parents think adopting my sister put my mum in the right state of mind to successfully carry a baby." A bit off topic, but this is not unheard of. The rest of the post is so sad, and the sister is so cruel though. Suddenly being able to carry a child to term after adopting one after years of miscarriage is actually relatively common. I've always wondered why. I'm an adopted child. My mother was told the same thing after too many miscarriages. A childhood illness had taken her ability to have children. So, my parents adopted me. What do you know, once the pressure was off, out popped my brother a couple of years later. Then my sister a couple of years after that. While I'm not a POC, I have found and formed a relationship with my birth mother, and never in a million years would I consider her my mum or anything of the sort. Navigating new relationships after reconciliation is challenging. You have an intimate bond with these people, yet they're strangers. However, to discard your adoptive family, especially if their intentions and your upbringing were with the best intentions, is nothing but callous. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.